Hey everyone, Kevin here. Today we're going to listen in to see what Mitch McConnell had to say last night about the next round of stimulus. And let's try to read between the lines and see exactly what's going on. I have not heard what he has to say yet, so I'm very, very interested to see what he's going to say. And I figure at the same time we may as well react to it and try to understand what's going on behind the scenes. So, here we go.
You spent some time on the Senate floor today lambasting the House Speaker's efforts on this latest $3 trillion bill and what's inside it. I wanted to ask you about the messaging that you're sending about pumping the brakes on a phase 4 as of yet. You had the Fed chair, Powell, say that this is a financial situation without modern precedent.
Additional fiscal support could be costly, but worth it if it helps avoid long-term damage and leaves us with a stronger recovery.
Essentially saying lawmakers may need to do more. How do you reconcile those two things?
Easily. I think the chairman of the Fed is correct, and we do anticipate having to act again at some point. I do think, though, in terms of timing, the chairman of the Fed didn't say how quickly, and we need to verify how we've done so far, make sure we know whatever mistakes we made, we don't want to repeat. So I'm certainly not ruling out another fiscal package, and I would say the chairman of the Fed and I and the administration are not necessarily in different places.
In one sense, this is very good because he's saying, look, I agree with the chairman. The chairman says we need more stimulus. The chairman, throughout his entire speeches, went on to say, essentially, the people are the ones who need help. The lower income folks are the ones who are getting disproportionately affected by this. And you know what? Middle class America is getting clobbered here. Basically, Jerome Powell, if he could have gone as far as saying it, I know he would have because it's what he's implying and it's what he's thinking. He's basically like, Congress, give people more stimulus checks, come on. And of course, to this, Mitch McConnell is saying, yeah, you know, we're open to that, but we think we need to wait and see. The wait and see pisses off a lot of people, okay? And I get that. I think he says that to buy him time in negotiations because he knows he's about to get slapped in the face with this bill from Democrats. Here it is. We passed it. It's on you guys now. But he's been saying for weeks, well, we need to pause and wait and see. And that's actually a pretty smart negotiating move. And I'm not trying to take sides here, but it's smart because he's already told the world, well, we said we were going to wait and see. So now it sort of counteracts the pressure the Democrats are putting on, and it allows him to negotiate. So it's not that it's a no, it's just that this is just his negotiation posture. It's actually, this is interesting. Okay, let's see what else he has to say. I like this so far.
Well, it's an 1,800-page liberal wish list. It strikes me as hardly salvageable. Just to give you an example of some of the absurdity, there's money in there for illegal immigrants. It mentions the word cannabis, of all things, 68 times more than the word jobs or hire are mentioned in the entire bill. It's the parade of absurdities that can hardly be taken seriously.
So I had to look that up because I didn't believe him, but he's right. Cannabis is mentioned 68 times, but it looks like most of the time it's mentioned in the form of cannabis-related legitimate business or service provider. So they're trying to be very clear with their text here, mostly because I mean, as a country, I think we should want cannabis dealers to be able to deposit the money they make legally in states, at least into banks, so that way it can be taxed. You know, whether you're for or against the business, at least set up a way to have it be taxed while, you know, the Fed and states duke it out. So I think that's probably why, and I get that. And regarding the illegal aliens clause regarding the stimulus checks, I think this is an unfortunate clause that the Democrats put in for the stimulus check because it's an easy thing for Republicans to attack. And whether or not you're for stimulus checks for folks who are here illegal aside, it's an easy thing for Republicans to attack. And it makes sense because Republicans are obviously against that. However, a little more detail is required because the way the text is written says you have to actually pass a presence test with the IRS, which means over the last 3 years, you've been here at least 180 days. And that time has to be spread out over those last 3 years. It's kind of a complicated stress test or presence test rule that they have. And then you have to have an ITIN number, which at least implies that you would be paying taxes on your earnings. So it's a little bit more than just Everybody who is illegal gets a check. But, I mean, Mitch is right. There are some people who are here illegally who would get a check. So he's not wrong in saying it. It just definitely gives the wrong impression, which, again, is unfortunate that that's such an easy thing to say without the detail. It makes for a good positioning argument for Republicans, at least. All right, let's see what else he's got to say.
Brett, I think the President and Senate Republican majorities will be on the same page when we get to the point where we need to do another bill. And our red line is going to be liability protections for those who are brave enough to begin to open up the economy again in the wake of the trial lawyers who are descending already on hospitals and doctors and businesses. As of about a week and a half ago, 771 lawsuits had already been filed. So we're working on a narrowly crafted protection from liability for things directly related to the coronavirus, and that will have to be a part of any package, because if we're really going to get the economy up and going again, people have to be brave enough to begin to engage in economic activity.
Basically, the only thing that so far Mitch has said that needs to be part of the next bill is liability protections. No indication here on, he didn't even respond saying, hey, we definitely need more funding for the PPP or anything, but said that, hey, we'll let you know when the time is right, and you can bet the time's going to be right when the negotiation's ready between Democrats and Republicans. So it's going to come across, I think, like Republicans aren't doing anything, but in reality, I think they're just going to be spending the next days and weeks negotiating. So, okay. I mean, this is not like so hardcore no right here. I mean, I think so far everybody's on the same page. We need another stimulus package. I just see negotiating posture here otherwise. And the liability thing, I get that. I get both arguments, but let's keep going on.
Look, I think we're all talking about this. I talked to the Secretary of the Treasury about it yesterday, to the President's Chief of Staff and to the President recently about this. I think we all believe that another bill probably is going to be necessary. But I'm not prepared today to put a precise date on when that will be. What I can tell you, as I told you earlier, that it's going to include liability protections in order to get through the Senate and in order to be signed by the President. And we'll look at what the conditions are in the near future and decide how that ought to be crafted. But it's not going to be a $3 trillion left-wing wish list like the Speaker is apparently going to try to jam down the throats of her majority either later this week or early next week.
I mean, that's interesting. So really, again, reiterating, the only thing he suggests he's looking for is liability protections and to cut some of the fat out of the Democrats' bill. And of course, he's not going to give a date because that would give his hand away. You know, then you could just milk the negotiation until that point. And if somebody's at a deadline, they're screwed. Of course he's not going to self-impose a deadline. Totally normal. All right, so obviously I cut some things out of what Mitch McConnell there said, but very interesting. McConnell's very for something that would provide liability protections and getting the economy back and open. He's pro-mask, that he's okay with people having restrictions, that they have to go out and wear masks as long as we get the economy up and running again, which actually kind of begs the question, what about something like what Mark Cuban proposed? I made a video on this yesterday. I encourage you to see it so you could see exactly what Mark said, but basically giving people recurring money that they're required to spend, ideally at local stores or whatever, or even online shops, right? Just spend it because that money's going to flow through the economy a lot more and hopefully prevent a depression. If we get a stimulus check and we pay off debt, or we put it into stocks like I do, or we pay off, or we put it into a savings account, a high yield savings account, that's not going to help the economy nearly as much. So it'll be interesting to see where this debate goes, but I have to say, this doesn't seem like that challenging of a thing to negotiate with Republicans. I don't see a big debate. I see Democrats going, all right, here are liability protections, show us the language you have. Oh, those are the liability protections you want? All right, let's put them in. What else? Well, we're not happy with all this money for cannabis in prisons. Cool, if we take that out, can we pass this bill? All right. Honestly, I'm not seeing a massive contention here. I don't know. I mean, certainly they're posturing as if there is, but when I actually break down what they're saying, I don't know. I don't see a big fight here. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. On your way down there, make sure to get 2 free stocks with Webull. They introduced the promotion again, so when you get to deposit $100, you get 2 free stocks. And of course, get life insurance because you need it, especially if you watch my videos. You know, you want to make sure you're protected. And of course, check out the links down below for my programs. I go live every day the market is open at 9 a.m. to help you with your money, your finances, real estate, you name it. And you'll get my opinion as a dude on the internet for what that's worth. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.